Well, first let's start with a prayer. Esther, why don't you pray for us?
Father, I thank you for this day.
Pray
And
louder, I can hear you. I'm joking.
I thank you for this time we get to spend together. I pray that you would bless it and be with us. I thank you for Emmanuel spending time with us to teach us. I pray that you would bless his life and continue to show us your ways. And I pray these things in your name.
Amen.
Bless the Lord. Well, everybody grab your Bible today. If you can find your Bible, be great. So if you don't have a Bible, you must have an app on your phone. Yeah, so. Well, today I'm going to try to use the Bible by the Bible lessons or the multiple purposes all together. But I want to show you the power when you learn history. Why you learn history? Maybe just give you a little example how to learn history and how to apply history. So most people read this book. Like the book have so many raw materials or different kind of materials concerning not necessarily always the history. Right? Actually, the people who write the history today will start a study on one of David's poems. Now, how you understand that poem required a lot of understanding David's time, the history, background, where that poem was written, then personal life, his personal biography you need to know. But mostly in this life, you understand a man is more than just external experiences, right? The thing he went through, you understand what actually he think about things, how he engaged with things, how he learned wisdom and understanding in his life, how he encountered challenging times. And in our case, with David, with all of us, I hope learn history always serve the ultimate purpose that it can further your wisdom and relationship with God, right? Your wisdom in God and relation with God. Now, David is a man, great learning, also great, great courage. He's a wonderful warrior. He's also a very great king. From shepherd to a king, a lot of experiences. It is very knowledgeable about the traditions centered on, if we as major academy would be Moses' law and the ordinances surrounding the. Thank you, sir. That's very nice of you. I'm so happy. I'm so thirsty. And so surrounding, he's a king, had applied the law, establish the priesthood, pass on that kind of foundational things to the coming generations. He established a new kingdom. The American will go through the same process. We can look at that why we interested in not this one in the founding fathers, right? Because the founding father is different generation. They lay a foundation, they lay the future life or future generation as a nation possible, and rather made it possible. So you as your mind, young thoughts, you begin to learn things. If you from a different vantage point, you will appreciate things differently. Merely not as a hobby, as interest, rather as a way of learning. There's things to learn, but there's a way to learn things. So today I will show to you, in a sense, using three topics together. One is we study a psalm, try to draw out from the psalm through this, how to read this Bible, basically, how to understand the author who wrote those psalms, in this case, Psalm 52, and then relate to David's life. Why David wrote in this way, and when he wrote this psalm, expressing a certain like a snapshot. Snapshot is life in a very difficult, meaningful time. But what those, the psalm, everything is like write a poem reflecting on the butterflies as a theme about his inner struggle, am I right? His relation with God, how he deal with his living situations. For David, that's how he wrote or sing songs. So what reflection on David's relationship, then how this relationship matured, if you will, or transform into place, he is able to establish a nation, to influence the coming generation, to set up things like the founding fathers set up the Constitution, and now we have a different flourishing generations, am I right? So even there may be things now that will work, but that's foundation laid, am I right? It seems a very workable and good foundation. So that being said, that's one side. The other purpose will be, okay, you learn a lot of history information. You said, I don't know, really now it's only be the test maybe. No one is only interested in us to get the test right. No, that's not why we do that. No, you need to learn history with such a very narrowed standard in a sense. So why you learn history? Learn history because it make you wise, make you understand how to understand the people, understand a certain time, and you are not a singular generation live like in the island or live as if there is nothing before you and nothing behind you, am I? So you are in the river of history. You only last from a certain flow, am I? Certain, you're gonna die. So generation gonna pass away. You more than one generation or the past generation will for sure those are more impactful for you. But even those generations come from a long flow of historical events and the people, cultures, how you properly those things to understand you as a person in your time, live your life in your generation. You zoom in how you understand yourself. And that's this purely historical point of view, okay? There's a lessons to learn from the past. If you're wise, you glean from the mistake, and then learn from the good things, right? So learn from what is beneficial. How you parcel that, apply that to your life. So then you need to look beyond your generation, the coming generation called the posterity. Said, okay, what I'm going to do more than this as one, raise up a beautiful family, being good parents, and for sure you can, but you can't actually be a good family, good parents, unless you understand you're part of a society in your day, you're part of culture in your day. And just like Abraham, like Lincoln, like certain figures in their day, they more than put a mark for the namesake, but they really what make them outstanding in their life is because they're thinking about things on long terms. They're thinking about how to invest their life, make their life meaningful, more than for the children, for even other people, for the nation, for the generation, right? For humankind, the greater humankind. That's a bigger inspiration for life. I think every young man should aspire to be. I'm not saying that you go out there just do everything in a foolish way or in a grandiose way, but to understand your life is in the flow of God, in the flow of human history, in the flow of generational culture building, right? So one generation can, if a bad generation don't care about their standing in life, they can ruin a nation, ruin a society very quickly, right? So we have see that again and again happening in human history. And then another generation said, let's rebuild things, let's restart things, let's reform things. Things changed. And what about you? Most of man in life is a drifter, is a drift with whatever they are. And then like a deal a car, you have a bad deal in life. Start with said, okay, life is so miserable, I can do nothing about it. So truth of the matter, you can't, right? So if I'm content, my father wanted me to be a little farmer, peasant, and take care of him in the little village. I will never get up, right? So I will never meet you, beautiful people. so, so I said, no, I don't want to do that. So young, with your age, made a decision, and the parents don't know what my decision. I'm just not content that I will spend the rest of my life to work on the field, to live in the corner of the world, never get out to 15 miles. So, I don't know what that means, but I don't get out. So, I want to read more books. That's what I'm thinking. I don't even know music those days. Can you believe that? So, I don't know there's a library there, so never go to a movie theater. But I decided I'm not going to work on the field every day, that's for sure. So, that you go through other things, you met different people, interesting people, your life continue on an increasing measure you experiencing. That's David's life. David was a small back hill little boy, right? His parents don't care about too much about his brothers don't care too much about him. What have you? He had a unique relation with God. He has a very good way to carry himself. While others are fooling around, he play hard and worship God in their different interest level. That's a good lesson for you guys. While you're fooling around, I think I have a lot of fun. But the best year of your life, you need to build a foundation, and then you pass on that way of life for your children, right? So your children are 12 years old, 13 years old, 15 years old. What are you going to tell them? Go ahead, fool me around. Something good out of it. Or there's something you build into them, interest them, and let them know the bigger picture of life, right? So some solid things in life. I'm not saying don't have fun, but it's not all about the fun life, right? It's about learning something, acquire wisdom. So that's history. Number one, you learn history, you learn wisdom in life. Understand where you came from, where you're heading in the historical flow of life. Okay, so third is more on personal level, is learning how to learn. Now, how you learn to learn? Most people actually don't know how to learn. You think you're learning, and I told you my extreme stories. I made a study, people working for 10 hours every day, don't ever go to sleep even, and I only the last I was waste my time in all other things. I only do it the last year or last moments, but I'm learning very fast. So my point is not to brag my bad experiences. You don't do that. Okay, my point is that because those things that over to the way give me experience to study different students, different teachers, different way that people how they learn things. I found most of the people are very inadequate in thinking about how they learn things. They don't think about it. Or certain people overthink about it. That's my point. A balance is you need to think about how you learn things. The other balance is you can't be a cookie cutter thing. You're not a machine. So you need to use your capacity. You need to adjust your. Today I want to stay late, watch a movie. That's fine. So, don't beat yourself up. Always okay. 10 o'clock, go to bed. So, I'm not saying that it's you don't discipline the means of your life, but if there is a priority, there's ways you can manage your schedule, manage your attention, manage your learning. I can read this book. Not this book, maybe this book, in about 5 hours. Okay. I'm just not really reading every word, but I can read 5 hours. So, seems a lot big book, but not really, right? So, pictures. I can read a book in 1 hour. Depends on how much I want to really read it, right? So, do you remember? There's a fast reading, browsing, and then study, right? So, your study is not reading. Reading or study a book is a different story, okay? Reading on a subject is browsing through a subject. Study a subject, different story. Now, but you don't have reading skills, like when I'm talking to you, you're hardly able to know how to study a subject because you need different resources, you need to glean more information in a very quickly manner to lay before you in order to study the subject. How you do that? Unless you learn from the basics, how to find the right book, and from the right book, get the information you need, and then pair together, compare together. Now, certain people said, I'm going to take this, read it from top to end, then I'm going to be a scholar of a subject. Most of the people, that's the dumbest idea I ever heard. Why? Because the human mind, human intention, is not prioritized. When you bruise things or read things, you can. 20 years, you can do that. You sure you will know every subject on that matter, everything on that matter. But the mostly that's not efficient way to study subjects. Imagine a person, this is a very good person to talk about. He can read 5 books a day, never stopped. He grew up. How I know this? Okay, he grew up a very weak person, almost died. His father is very loving father, a very wise father. Invested Alfonso, not Alfonso, maybe. So that's tough to father. So it's where he just dropped other things. He began to actually invest in this child, since everybody's given up on him, of course, and said, I'm gonna make him to change himself. He began to exercise, began to learn things, began to went to Harvard, and then grew very interesting, very character, very strong. He has so much energy. When he makes a speech, he's so fixed, he cannot let his fist go because we always fighting. So we're fighting. So he's full of energy. A man from a weak, sickling little boy turned out to be one of the most intellectual, most active person you can get. American Navy was constructed by him. The whole system, Navy system. He revised the whole Navy. He expanded the whole military system in America. He laid the progressive agendas in this nation. I'm talking about certain things. He has cared and changed the crisis of this nation, American nation, from being overtaken by communism or fascism, other extreme ideologies in the European that time, in 2030s. Prior even. So that's ruined the European nation and caused war. And he was able to work with people in different factions to actually alleviate that kind of total destruction for this nation. So a lot of good things about him, also a lot of maybe bad things. You can make your own discernment these days. But it's a good example to see how you learn to learn. Elijah, can you repeat the 3 things we talk about, learn how to learn? Elijah wrote an essay on that. You might want to ask him in the lesson. Why you don't? Interesting, huh? The most important thing is about learn how to learn. And somebody have an essay on it. Well, you don't read that. I would. You can improve your learning skills. Spend 80% of your energy right now. You can film around 80% of the time, and 20% you can study because you're good students. How you do that? Certain people spend all day long study, they're not getting anywhere. It's very good tea, folks. Okay, go ahead. Lessons for Resty.
Well, you guys may have heard me talk about this before, or even some of us, but from Confucius teachings, there's 3 basic ways to learn how to learn. I did write an essay on this a long time ago. The first rule is...
I want you to take notes on this. This seems not casual information, not casual. Take time to think about it. Take time on each point to really say what that means for me. How can I apply that? What that means for Elijah, what that means for Sun. The people already in my life. Do they have something for us to offer? Can I have a discussion about that? Can I ask them about that? or rather than what a movie we watched last night. You know, you want to build a deeper relationship. That's how you do deeper relationship, right? So Naomi, tell me, who is you feel is a deeper relationship? The people that always have fun with you, or people talking about real things of life with you?
People who invest in your life and talk about
Exactly.
deep things.
Yeah, you feel they interested in talking deeper things with you as well, right? That's real relation means, right? So there's a tension there, there's a skill set there. You pay attention to it, right? So like I browse the phone, one on my mind all day long, 1 hour, then blame every day. I mean, then blame I don't have friends. You're never interested to have any friendship with anybody. You never, your mind is dragged away from other things. And yeah, your mind is occupied, your time is spent. And then you said, I don't have a friend. So then without friend, you're further down in this isolated and unproductive way of life, and right, it's in a span cycle. Now, what if you have good friends, talking about good things? It may you find to off the phone is a very easy, very natural thing. You don't struggle with it, because you have more important thing to do. You're more enjoyable thing to do. It's not a trouble anymore. So making sense to you, yeah, making sense to you. So well, it's interesting, huh? To think about it, and then those engagement influenced your interest, influenced your relationships. That's why God said, "Sow what you reap what you sow." Okay, making sense to you? If your dad don't develop relations with me, would you guys know me as a friend? It's impossible, right? So it's impossible. So here you're standing here to have a class. How that happened? Somebody take time to develop those relationships, am I right? Beijing, is that right? It's not dropped somewhere, right? So it came from somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
what are you gonna be with me? What are going to happen to you?
I'll be
Can you be a me unless you develop those relationships? Unless Tim is my body, I want to talk to him. Right? Have time for him. Back to your conversation. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, the first thing from the three
So write it down. Okay.
is I know. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it. From three
Okay.
people,
Oh, nice.
you can at least learn something from one. So just go ahead and
Expand on that.
yeah. So this kind of means that, first of all, the kind of underlying point in most of these is that having a willingness to learn is kind of what this one has in it, because more than the statement itself, if you see three people walking, you can learn from at least one of them. That's not what the point is exactly.
Walking there is doing life together, right? So yeah.
One of the main points is that you're willing to learn. So you would see people in life, you're willing to learn from people, and you're willing to see that in life there are many ways you can learn from anything. And not having it to yourself or having an excuse not to learn. But yeah, that's the first one. And then the second one is from learning one thing, you can learn many things at one time while learning that one thing. So it kind of correlates to the saying, you can kill two birds with one stone. So that.
Can you give it a living example?
So an example of that could be, in an education example, you can be learning math, you can be learning fractions or algebra, multiplication, and you can also be learning when you go to the store how many apples you should buy, because you only have a certain allowance and you can only buy this much because you have this much money. But as you're learning that in math, you can also be learning how to apply it to life at the same time. But then that's a very simple thing. But actually, in life, you can be learning in a class like this with Brother Emmanuel, and you can be learning things that may be simple, given from the Bible or from the simple ways that we do things here that are different from others, and we can learn that. And we can be also learning how to create a new culture in life. So we can be learning those things at the same time. Also learning how to even teach others, even our own families in time. So
it's very interesting, huh?
that's some examples of
How to
that.
do relationship differently, rather than the world tell you how to do relationships. Go to school with your senses, what God put your mind. Is there something else out there that honorable, productive, beneficial, and needed in life? Am I right? If think about it, if I'm one work under somebody, which has happened to me many occasions in life. If I never talk to my supervisor about what he's thinking, what I'm thinking in the sphere of my engagement, is that relationship healthy or good? When you have trouble with a supervisor will say, hey, I cover that, I will help you, I get everything right. Or he said, no, you never talk to me, what's wrong, So, again, he's not your friend, right? So, how you can be that friend? Not try it in an ugly way, okay? Just simply to develop a healthy relationship working environment in that kind of setting. The supervisor is not your enemy, not your dictator. Don't be afraid of him. He's just the one in charge of responsibility that you needed to be interested in because you work under. You might want to say, why? What are you thinking about your sphere of assignment is? What are your rules limit is? There's something else you can help? What troubles him? What help him to feel encouraged? What is the feature for your role? In 1 year different than 2 years, right? So maybe something else you can develop your skill sets or assume responsibility to understand and fill in that need, right? So, and nothing to do with try to get it promoted, get a better salary. What a nonsense. I mean, if that's all you care is about in the environment like that, would the manager really have high respect for you, high regard for you? He just said, that guy is all about the money, that guy is all about the position. So, I don't like it. So, nobody like that pine purple, right? Nobody, unless I'm perverted mind. But if I'm a manager, I would like somebody coming to me, even though mess things up, but he really want to try to do a good job. He's not treating me like his enemy, somebody just, hard on him. He's treating me like somebody can help him, somebody can enable him, somebody I can share burden with, I can say, well, can you do me a favor, Elijah? He will be there, right? Naomi, can you take care of that thing? I really don't have time to take care of. She will say, I don't know how to do it. I mean, no worries. I will give you some help. Here's some tutorial. Do that, right? So that kind of thing. I'm not saying overwork you, okay? So, but and Esther will say, okay, can you take care of my dogs? Maybe not that. You like dogs, right? So I don't know about the killer now. So yeah, get some crap for me, okay? So, something that now became a relationship, like a friendship, right? So on a quick Carter, somebody, you can trust like a family member, like a friend. You have to do that, so. Well, that being said, so working in one thing, learn to do other thing, learn to do relationship in this environment. We come here not minister, first not merely to have a subject matter learned, or form a relationship between you guys and between us, so more importantly to learn how to do relationship in a different way, so making sense to you, treat each other as a brother sister in the Lord. That requires some training, right? Some initiation, some awareness. Oh, that relation is not like any other body, my cousin, right, or my neighbor. So I'm not saying those are bad relations. I'm saying a different set of understanding, right? So our neighbor will be gone next 20 years, but my friend right now will carry the rest of my life. Why not make that happen? So you have to think differently and form relation differently. Third one.
The third and final one is that the saying is that if you're going to learn from the best.
Well, that's a good one.
Yep, it's a good one.
You learn from the best, yeah?
Yeah,
Am I the best?
you are the best.
Oh, well, there you go. That's very complimentary to a teacher, man. So I'm overwhelmed.
This means that this one states itself more than the first two because it's pretty forward with what it's saying. And it kind of this one means that if you really take this one seriously, it means that you really care about what you're doing. Because a lot of people will just go through
Emotion.
and just through learning with just like, oh man, I'm just learning this, I don't really care. I just want to get done with it. And they just learn from whoever because they're like, well, I'm learning it. But they don't really take consideration. Because if you learn from someone that has at least a normal, mediocre understanding of what they're talking about, you won't really get much out of it.
Yeah.
But if you learn from the best, you yourself will at least get a mediocre understanding of what they're teaching and not nothing. And this, like I said, it also has to do with a true desire and willingness to learn what you're doing. And it applies to just the way, more than that, it applies just the way you think and live. That's in a more mature and thoughtful way. But yeah. I'm
going to add another thing. This is for practical reasons. Okay, that's out of Confucius. You can tell that.
What?
Out of Confucius statements. You can tell that. Actually, this is all Chinese, not really Confucius stuff. So, the fourth one, I'm going to add a new one. So, okay, the new one is the best way to learn is to teach. Right? So, teach somebody. So don't get bothered. Hey, I don't know how to teach yet, but motivate you and pressure you to learn. And right, in order to teach somebody, it's the first. It's bad teacher, whatever. But at least you teach some subject. You have patience. So if you teach a person 3 times, the subject is totally in your mind, but you're able to teach it out. You're able to teach it in a well organized way. You will be absolutely expert in the subject. I mean, that's inevitable, right? If you're a good teacher, so this on par with a good teacher, you're absolutely the best student in class, for sure, right? So making sense to you guys? Yeah. So when you know how to teach in that level, you said, oh, so I'm pretty good with this subject, right? So you'll not lower your standard when you learn another subject. Do you understand my point? You say like, okay, you and somebody come and hey, Lapa is you're the A student, man. You will not walk away saying, hey, I'm the master of the subject, right? So you see my point? So you still think, oh, I'm just a student. I'm not saying no, I cannot teach somebody, So your standard changed, your attention changed. I like to teaching. Especially inspire others, to change their way of thinking, change their interest. Yeah, it's interesting how things can turn. I can absolutely confidently say I influence a little bit, not overtake, but influence. Right? Influence different than overtake somebody. Give guidance to somebody who already have the talent and the interest, but let them lead on. Right? So, yes, to know the piano. That's because of my keyboard, right? All started on keyboard. I don't know a thing about piano, right? So you see my point. But I bought a keyboard. I think I'm gonna play around with it, and Noah took it, and he said, "Oh, that's very fun." He took it and passed on to you. Am I the interest? See the power of influence. Okay, I know nothing about piano still today, but haven't I learned something? Oh, you bet. I learned so much from Noah, from others, and John about music appreciation. You see, their interest, they share their playlist with me, they share their beautiful songs with me. I'm just like my music appreciation in a totally different level. Yeah. So because that, I can sing English music pretty good. Right? I used to can't even catch the beat, So.
He's talking to you of Noah's Opera?
Oh yeah, exactly,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So influence how you sing songs, right? So it's all natural. You didn't really pay attention to it. It's just the one thing to another. Finally, come back to me. I know how to sing with country music, jazz music. Used to, who want to listen to this kind of stuff, You understand
I
my?
can agree with country. But
You don't like country?
No, it's-
Very good way. Yeah, very good way. Bluegrass, man. So
No.
you,
I like jazz. I can do jazz. It's
You
just
can do
like
jazz.
country music.
jazz, man. What a
Yeah.
track.
What about Georgia?
Oh yeah.
I like country music.
That's country.
No, that's jazz. That's
Georgia.
Georgia.
That's that's
Oh
jazz.
Georgia.
That's jazz, right?
That's country. Typical country, man.
That's the only country song.
Okay, so all have a mixture.
Yeah.
It's hard to define. So now you understand it's my point, however, so you begin to discern people's composition and different elements to it, and one clear card. So it's amazing. Anyway, so learn, the best we learn is to teach somebody. Also, it's teach somebody, you take someone under your wings, under your care, it's assuming responsibility for somebody. You're more than just teaching skill sets, information. You really care about others' well-being, the progress. You learn a lot by seeing or helping them to overcome their learning obstacles, their ways of display. You will apply to yourself. And this is a huge exponential power for you to enable your mind to think differently. When you process subject, you process matters, you will think not in a scattered way or just, okay, I see there through, I walk away, carry nothing. You can walk through a class and, you know what, I'm going to share that information to my friend, I'm going to teach the subject to others. Instantly inspire you. Oh, I will study more. What I missed on that point? I'll think about it. I can apply that to my businesses. So okay, I need to really get to know. At least get to know somebody can help me to enforce my knowledge or trust the responsibility to. Now you have a different way manage you, how you absorb, use, and process information, process knowledge, process eventually. Process life, right? Because life relating on those things. Now, let's turn to, when the rabbi uses 15 minutes to give a snippet start to teach you one simple Bible lesson. Okay, I want somebody to read for me. Naomi, a good reader, read for us 52, Psalm 52. It's a very interesting psalm. Let me see if that is the right one. Yes, Psalm 52.
Find it online.
Okay.
Guys, don't bring your Bibles.
Yeah.
My Bible's really big.
That's why I get a medium-sized one.
Yeah.
We're all sizes.
That's my Bible.
Yep, we have the exact same Bibles.
No, exactly.
So it's Psalm
Psalm 52.
52, verse 1.
Yes. Okay.
I can read it.
Kayla, why you not read for us
Sorry.
first? That's okay.
I'm sorry if I get stuff wrong.
Okay.
Why do you boast of evil?
I want you to read the footnotes, or the beginning, this little words.
Oh, okay. For the director of music, a maskil, is that how you say that? Maskil?
I think so.
Maskil of David, when
Doeg.
Doeg
Mm.
Doeg the
Edomite.
Edomite, that's it. Okay.
Mm.
Edomite had gone to Saul and told him, David has gone to the house of Ishmaelite.
Ahimelech.
Okay, thank you. Why do you boast of evil, you mighty hero? Why do you boast all day long, you who are a disgrace in the eyes of God? You practice deceit. Is that how you say that? Deceit.
Mhm.
You practice deceit. Your tongue plots destruction. It is like a sharpened razor. You love evil rather than good. Falsehood, rather than speaking the truth. You love every harmful word. You deceitful tongue.
What?
Deceitful. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Goodness. Surely God will bring you down to everlasting ruin. He will snatch you up and pluck you from your tent. So wait, tent, sorry. He will uproot you from the land of the living. The righteous will see and fear. They will laugh at you, saying, Hear now this man who did not make God his stronghold, but trusted in the great wealth and grew strong by destroying others. But I am like an olive tree, flourishing in the house of God. I trust God's unfailing love forever and ever. For what you have done, I will always praise you. In the precious
Presence.
the presence of your faithful people, and I will hope in your name, for your name is good.
Okay. A different version than ours.
Oh.
Elijah,
Sorry, what?
Elijah, why don't you read it for us? It's okay.
Which version are you guys?
Now we read the
in?
first
Okay.
NIV.
I'm in NIV.
Okay.
Yeah, the Bible app changes it.
Only read aloud, so
Okay.
we can get the whole.
For the director of music, a maskil, David, when Doeg the Edomite had gone to Saul and told him, David has gone to the house of Ahimelech. Why do you boast of evil, you mighty man? Why do you boast all day long, you who are a disgrace in the eyes of God? Your tongue plots destruction. It is like a sharpened razor, you who practice deceit. You love evil rather than good, falsehood rather than speaking the truth. You love every harmful word, O you deceitful tongue. Surely God will bring you down to everlasting ruin. He will snatch you up and tear you from your tent. He will uproot you from the land of the living. The righteous will see and fear. They will laugh at him, saying, Here now is the man who did not make God his stronghold, but trusted in his great wealth and grew strong by destroying others. I am like an olive tree, flourishing in the house of God. I trust in God's unfailing love forever and ever. I will praise you forever for what you have done. In your name I will hope, for your name is good. And I will praise in the presence of your saints.
This might be a difficult sound, partial, but let's first study the characters in the notes of the preface to the song. Let's see. Everybody know a little bit of David, right? David the king, King David. What about Saul? Anybody knows about King Saul? Okay, if you know, raise up your hand. Okay, so anybody knows King Saul? Who is King Saul? Esther, who's King Saul? King Saul is before David or after David?
Four, right?
It's in David's time before him. It's the king, it's wicked king leading to him. Okay, Naomi, what do you know about the Saul and David's story?
Not very much.
Not very much? Okay. Okay. So who knows a little bit?
I do.
Go ahead.
Saul is sort of the character who was supposed to be God's chosen, but he used his power for good at the beginning, but changed. And when he found out that David was supposed to be king, he hated him for that. So he would do terrible things to him, and God had delivered him into David's hands many times, but David chose to love him instead. It even says that one of his soldiers came up to him and said that he has delivered him into your hands. Why don't you just kill him? He said, I'm not going to touch the God's anointed.
There you
I
go.
won't lay my hand on
That's
him.
very good. Very good. Now, who is Doeg? Anybody knows Doeg?
I have no idea.
Edomites?
Who?
Huh? No idea. Well, Doeg basically is a slave or master slave. Let me tell you the story more briefly.
Is this
So,
a person, or is it like a
It's a
type?
person. It's a person.
Okay.
He's a tribe. He's Edomites. Edomites descend of Esau. Okay, so see, they're almost enemies of Israelites. But in the days, evidently, there are people serving Saul of different tribes or different races. So Doeg was elevated to a place. He is a head shepherd for all Saul's flocks. Remember when Saul became king, he said he's going to take your shape, the provision for his army, he's going to get himself rich, and he's going to take the best land, stuff like that. So if you read 1 Samuel, you will hear the story. I encourage you to read it if you want to know the story. But try to tell you why you're interested in reading stories. When you're interested in stories, then this song will make sense to you. Totally make a different sense to you because you understand David's heart and the occasion. So in this occasion, there's days in those days, okay, I bring in a history study. I want you to really listen to me, okay, on drift. So now in the days like Saul's time, as Kayla said, he became jealous with David. David was his son-in-law. So married his beloved daughter. So David has been the number one captain, the head of his captain, a king in those days. Don't have bodyguards. I mean, today you don't have anybody have your bodyguard. You know the history of movies, you have an untrusted one, lead the one's bodyguard. And that's used to David, played the harp for him as a musician. He also is his bodyguard, is guarding him, leading the people guarding Saul. Then they got married. He was promoted. He's now leading the people to fight the Philistines, the arch enemy of the Israelites those days. So, and then David was very, very good at fighting the enemies. So he made a reputation. And that juncture, Saul see David begin to garner the favor and become a better reputation among the people. He become jealous. Now David has this time wasn't married to the daughter, but also become the best friend. In the Bible, the most beautiful friendship is Jonathan and David. Jonathan was Saul's son. So in this occasion, Saul literally so jealous of David, he decided to murder him. So he's a very temperate man. He can't control his temper. He literally threw a spear, tried to kill David. When Jonathan intervened in the city for David, he almost killed Jonathan the same way. So and then the daughter, the wife David, aware of the scheme that Saul tried to send a man to ambush him in the night. So they were leading on the city wall and the house. So he dropped the rope and lowered David to outside David's gate. So he went in this time, of the history, how you read history. You don't read the Bible like I'm reading it, right? So I'll just give you the storyline. Now I'll give you some historical construct, how you read the history now. Think about this kingdom had been traumatized by instability of leadership for 100 years, suddenly have a king like any other kingdom rise up that's like a king's reign, like Saul's reign, right? Saul's government, whatever, Saul's kingdom. Then it was a new formation. They never done this before. So there is an existing government system on the way how to manage this civil affairs, governmental affairs. It was God ordained through Moses, a priesthood. So that was corrupted. Eli is a high priest. He was corrupted a little bit. And then Samuel came aboard, but Samuel was not Levites. Only the priesthood, only the Levites supposed to continue the priesthood. So he acting as a judge, but he cannot really minister in the full capacity of priesthood. So the priesthood, also the ark took off, which was a great shame for the whole nation. But the most devastating is the priestly system that it put in place. That's where you sacrifice seeking God. So this we would call the theocracy system, governmental system, totally breaking down the standard, but there's still remnants of it. And God said through Samuel, and this time the Saul tried to say, okay, now you can unite one nation, let's recover this. So the holistic mission, God is basically send a righteous prophet like Samuel, hold the vision, hold the heart for the people, and then try to install this civil government, and not the priesthood, but through the kingship, basically, try to restore the way to the old. So this recovery process God set in motion. But Saul was a wrong candidate. As Kayla said, he had the wrong heart. So to a point, he wanted to kill David, right? He violated, he set in greed heart God, thereby greed heart Samuel. Then he dismissed Samuel from the inner circles. Samuel literally went away. Never was consulted together at one time. He not able to do the thing where Samuel wanted to do. Or God wants through Samuel wanted to do. He has Samuel cut the rope from him. So when Saul tried to beg, oh, please come back. Pim. No. This said, this is decoration. More than friendship is gone, or support is gone. He said, just like I cut my rope from you, God is going to cut your kingdom from you, from the surrender of God. So now here in 16, one lesson I learned is not everybody's word, action is the same weight. Okay, whether in your life, that's true, or in the historical of God's dealings, right? So a priest's word is different than the commoner, right? So a king's word different than one in the court, right? So the president is different than soldier, right? So now in a leadership setting, in any cultural setting, in a community setting, not everyone's word carry the same weight. That might be very challenging for a young mind, but that's a matter of life. You are going to serve God in greater responsibility, greater honor, greater capacities. You have to understand the charge, the weight of your responsibility to carry, also measure your word. There's different levels of word. Right now, you pay attention. Not everything is chitty chat. There's something had to make decisions. A general make a decision said, let's go war this way. Army goes the way. Nobody listen to him. Everybody have a different opinion. We think this is good. Well, that army is going to be scattered, right? Be routed. That army is in wide disaster themselves. So, that's my point. And they can argue whatever. I don't know how they make a decision, but finally the generals made a decision, commanded them to do certain things. Then it's not up to the soldier. Every commander under him that said we should do this, that. It's done. Right? So you like general or not, it's not the point. It's that the whole army and come to a place of action and decision are made. You don't like the decision? Yeah, it's not up to you. So it's not up to you. Yes, sir, is that making sense here? Sounds crazy, huh? Don't fight that all the time. Rather say, accommodate that as living reality of life. Not said it, I would want bad things to happen or oppressive things to happen, but use it, but establishing it. It's like when you know, normally you can tell your older brother said this is good or bad, but sometimes Esther's supposedly in charge of it. And then her mom said, okay, Elijah go there to help Esther. He in charge of the matter for 3 months. He just come here to help you 3 days, right? So now who's supposed to be in charge in this matter? It's talking about officially, reality, you're supposed to be the one tell Elijah what to do, right? So but if Elijah carry a different context, or you carry a different context, that I can't really tell my old brother what to do. But Elijah said, I'm older, I know what to do, I'm going to take over. Well, if you're a responsible person, you will say, no. So let's sort it out, you know. So on this matter, I respect you, my old brother, I allow your help. Right? So because I'm accountable to mom and dad for this entrustment. Make it sense to you? And if wise brother come around, okay, Esther, thank you for 3 months. There's a lot you learned. I only have 3 days here, so how can I help? Can you tell me something? Can I fit in the bill and help? I understand 3 days later I'm not here. I hope you have a different place, you know, and always come to me. Even after 3 days, I'm still able to help you, you know, so don't have to bother mom and dad to do it. Now what have you? You see the total different change of a culture, right? Change relationships. Rather than bouncing head, confuse each other, not able to work together. Now you appreciate one another, working like right hand, left hand, right? So your parents look at it and said, my God, I got the best children in the world. So let's take on. Right? Now, is that right? You can do that. Some part will continue the lesson for this later on, but I want to register to you to study this psalm a little bit, read the portion relating to David, Saul, and Doeg. Okay, that story. And Ahimelech. Maybe you can, there's some homework for you to read the Bible a little bit, to study each character, who are they. So I concluded by, again, concluding as a political system, there's a civil government system basically, there is a priestly system, in a transition mode. There's not much clarity going on, but here, however, God's intended for people united together to come to some solid order, some good ways they can defend themselves, they can prosper in the land as He promised the forefathers they're supposed to be. He can be their God, be worshipped. He can have the servants to set in place. Everybody can learn God. Now it's all in a dream, right? Nothing's getting done. Just busy fighting the enemies. Now, is a soul so self-serving. He's not content in fighting the enemies. He's not interested in any of this. He said, that God going to take over my throne and threat to my desire to hold on the kingdom. I'm going to kill him. That's the kind of king we got here, right? So, do you understand my point? It's not love for momentum, man. That's make David's life is so miserable, right?
Sorry, Naomi just makes me laugh when she laughs.
No, he's like he treated Saul like his father. Father's cut him loose. Turns the worst enemies. The wife again married, they have a loving relationship. The lady really love him, would die for him, you know. So, and then they departed. And then the best friend, you know, allow him really wanted to say, hey, I know you're the next king. I'm gonna serve you, you know. So that kind of a good friendship, you know? So, and cannot do that, you know. Just like wow, something. The whole world is crashing down on David, and then he's on the wrong. And the first place he's wrong to is to feel somebody can challenge, withstand this evil king's influence and standing. He wronged the priesthood. That's the person Abimelech is a high priest. He's a grandson, I think, about Eli. So he has some standing in society. He can find a refuge or shelter. He maybe found justice even for himself. And Saul came around with this evil man, Doeg, was there to do sacrifices, bring gift to the temple. He saw David went there, and he said, "Oh, I just got David." Got back home. He heard Saul wanted to find David everywhere, so he said, "I just found David there in the back rooms, in the little temple, and he was with the priest." And then Saul sent an army there. He began to rally all the priests. Said, "Did you guys do this? Did you help me?" "Yeah, we did." So. But he was not happy now. He said, "Okay, because you assisting my friend, my enemy, are you ready for me? I'm the king. You dishonor me." So he said, "Kill them." Terrible man. Mm-hmm. And nobody dared to touch the priesthood. You see, it was like another respectful institution in the society those days. And so this is one who had no regard for the tradition, for the culture, for the people's desires. This bad man, this Doeg, a wicked man, only serving Saul out of rich and the power maybe. And I will do it. So he grabbed the sword and killed every priest. From that day on, the priest was totally in disarray. Some escaped, and then escaped to David, found some refuge there, but there was like a bandits, right? I'm not bandits. Someone told me, there was like what is it called? Like a dogs running around, like there's no hope, no nation, and no leadership. And David, from that place, began to rebuild in their little group. People build a little bit remnant, right, out there. So not in their own land. Yeah, they were literally becoming bandits. They loot people. Sorry, that's the culture today. Now, do you understand this situation, right? This events is a terrible, more than for David, but for the whole nation Israel, for the whole plan God through the histories from the beginning. And came here, this terrible thing happened, almost ready to just leave God's influence, God's will for governing the people of the land. So it's a major turning point, more than for David's life, for the national life of Israel as well. With that notes, we conclude today. So how you read the Bible, how you use the history, how you learn things, how I learn it. I never studied. I mean, that's a general topic. I just know how to relate those information together to understand the psalm well, because I can see David when he heard the people killed, and he was the one caused it almost, and then the kind of burden, the kind of trouble, am I? The kind of said, "Wow, I just got my people killed. I called my people in serious trouble because I was careless, and what's going on, God? What's going on? What's going on? I don't have people and my family, no friends. I don't, even the priests, I tried to seek help. They were cut down. Where am I? What are my future going to be like?" And God revealed to him. This guy see this man. He said, those bad people, like Doeg, can come to the miserable end, but you will be an olive tree in my temple. Now you understand, there's no ark, no altar, the priesthood is cut down by this evil man. And God promised David, he said, "No, you will be an olive tree in the in my court." Wow, that's something, huh? When God come to the lowest point, almost one of the lowest point, the many lowest point in David's life, to encourage him and comfort him. With that, let's pray together. Benji, can you do that so honor to pray? Yeah. You looks older. I always look at you. You are older than Elijah. Matter of fact, you're not. I'm saying this thing so that Esther a little bit looks older as well. You're like 17 to me. I'm joking. So those kind of information sharing might a little bit over your top, but don't feel discouraged. Okay, so and continue to learn things. I think it's good to learn things together. So go ahead, pray for us. And Naomi, pray for us. I'm sorry. Go ahead, pray for us.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for these teachings. We thank you for the time that we get to spend to learn together. I pray that you would just help each and every one of our minds to really capture the thought and to understand it whole and learn how to apply it on our lives and just to be good students, Lord. I pray that you would keep our hearts open to hear from you and to interact with you, Lord. I pray that you would just bless every time and the rest of this day. In your precious name I pray.
Amen. Hey Esther, what is the fourth thing we learn about the learning? You can take your notes, okay?
Huh? I know it.
You know it? Go ahead.
What?
You go ahead.
Oh,
You know it, go ahead.
a good way to learn is to teach it. To teach.
That's the last one.
I thought you said
She was
four.
asking all of them.
The four of them.
You said
Yeah.
the
Oh,
four.
I
The
thought you
fourth.
said-
That's okay.
I thought you said
Okay, that's
four.
good one. That's good one. What about the others? Everybody
The first one was.
except Elijah, he knows well.
First
First
one
one.
was three people, but you can learn from one.
Wow, that's good, Naomi.
And,
Being willing to learn.
Yeah?
being willing to learn.
Willing to learn.
No.
And learn from the best.
No, that's good one.
Third one.
Third one. Learn one thing.
Learn one thing,
We
learn
can
one
learn
thing.
at least three things together, right? So that's work hard to think about it. Yeah? That's work
I
hard.
said, I don't know if this applies though, but
Go ahead.
applying a lesson from a lesson, like.
Yes, yes.
That's what I said. for
What
the
I
lesson.
did there. What I did here. Let's give you an example.
What?
I give you an example, living example today.
To teach from learning?
I teach one psalm, but I teach many things together, right? You see, that's how you teach people. If you really know how to teach people, you're using a simple thing and teach all kinds of things together, right? So I teach you how to use history, why you learn history, teach you some, teach very solid information, right? But the most important, I teach you how to learn. Okay, somebody pray for us. Oh, 12, look at that.
That's what it is.
Are you guys good?
Yeah.
I think you're good. So I hope you're good.
Yes, Lord, I just thank you for this wonderful lesson, Lord, your lesson of life. Lord, I pray that we would just continue to seek you for, Lord, your will in our lives, Lord, your purpose in our lives. Lord, I thank you for just the opportunity to get to, Lord, learn together, Lord, to learn as one body. Lord, I pray that we would continue to, Lord, work together, Lord, encourage each other, Lord, as one. Lord, I pray that we would strive to apply these things to our life, Lord, or that we would strive to, Lord, learn from your Spirit and, Lord, your will. Lord, I thank you for the people that you have put in each one of our lives to teach us. Lord, Emmanuel, Noah, my dad, and Elaine. Lord, and many others. Lord, I thank you for these lives and for these people. Lord, this wonderful opportunity to learn, Lord, in this place, Lord. Lord, I pray that you would continue to bless these times. Lord, and bless the ones that participate and the ones who may come, Lord. Lord, I thank you for your heart for your people and your love for us, and I pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Is there homework today?